Workarounds. We've been hit with new business practices that we have to adopt. And being in the amazing technological environment that we all live in, there are some solutions that are coming up through websites, apps, and other widgets that are purporting to be able to make your life simpler, and make your life better, and make your life easier. Hello, this is Michael Cheever. I've been in real estate for 23 years and had the opportunity to go from starting at zero to over 500 million in closed transactions. I currently am thankful for the opportunity to serve as the general manager of the Realtors Group. Some of these are aggregator sites that are saying they're going to aggregate commissions across multiple brokerages and make your life simpler, because there's one place for you to be able to go in and put in your commissions or your compensation. Getting rid of the commission word, your compensations, and that people will be able to search them easily and you won't have to do anything. Think about it like the easy button, right? Well, let's all be honest. In life, the things that are easy are typically not worthwhile long-term. And gosh, you say, Mike, what is tried and true right now? Well, here's what we know. So there's two main types of these that are going around right now. One of them is the sum of all things. It's all the properties across multiple brokerages, and you're going to be able to go in, put your commissions in, and you're going to be able to find all these other compensation agreements that are out there. I would be very, very cautious of those, because they violate one of what we'll call the spirits of the settlement. And that is, a seller could be shown that site and feel coerced or forced to offer cooperative compensation in order to be on that site. Remember, that's the big thing about these realtor-owned MLSs with the lawsuit and settlement, is that sellers felt that they had to offer compensation to the other agent, meaning the buyer's agent, in order to be listed on those sites. So if there are sites that are aggregating compensation and they're showing it across an area or multiple areas, and this compensation is something that a seller feels, if I don't do this, then I'm not going to be competitive. Be very cautious of anything like that. The second ones that are out there are saying, hey, we're going to pull this information together, but as a buyer or a buyer's agent or a seller or a seller's agent, you have to enter the property address individually. And then if that property's information has been entered here, then it'll pop up. That's walking a line. It's walking a fine line, and based off of the legal counsel that I've consulted with, that's on the safe side of the fine line. Just remember this, when you walk a fine line, it's easy to take a misstep. My encouragement to everybody here is walk the wider, safe path. If we are doing a preview for a buyer, recording it and sending it to them, do we have to have a buyer brokerage agreement signed? And the answer is yes. That is a virtual showing. It's almost the definition of a virtual showing. And so whether you're showing a property in person or virtually to a buyer, you have to have a buyer brokerage agreement signed with them to be in compliance. Working on the buyer side, and we are under contract on a new construction property. Do I have to get a showing agreement signed every time that I show that new construction property? And the answer is no. Once you've entered into a contract, so number one, you've signed a buyer brokerage agreement with this buyer, you are representing them as your client, you have entered into a contract where the builder and the buyer have reached an agreement, you are the agent for the buyer, and the builder is representing themselves, or they have an agent representing them. At that point, your set of agreements are formalized. Now, I would make sure to let the seller or the builder know that you're coming on site, because sometimes there can be unsafe conditions where the seller might say, hey, here's when you can go, or here's when you can't. So make sure to be courteous when you're going to be showing, and notify the builder in that situation, or the builder's agent when you're going to show the property. A buyer has visited a new construction community and they registered with that community as being unrepresented. Subsequent to that, they meet with an agent and they decide they want that agent to represent them. The question is, can the buyer brokerage agreement have certain exclusions? In this example, where if that buyer were to go back to that new home community, and because they had registered and said that they were unrepresented, that builder says, well, I'm not paying cooperative compensation. So could we put an exemption to where as the buyer, I say, yes, I'm engaging you as my agent. However, if I go back to that community, instead of the 3% fee for the professional services that you're providing, if I buy in that neighborhood, it'll be 1%. The answer is absolutely yes. A buyer and a buyer's agent can agree to whatever it is that they decide, as long as it's ethical and moral. A seller and a listing agent can do the same thing. Crush it, we're stronger together.